Right.
Hi,
Hello.
Abby.
Hello, you alright?
Yeah, you too.
My first question I came up with for this is it punk music? What was your overall message for what you wanted to express? Like, was it the music or like the friendship?
It was kind of based on my own experience, to be fair, because I had a rock band when I was like 15 to 20.
Right.
So I kind of saw myself in Jim and Lawrence, and my main what was interesting me the most was the fact that they were moving from countryside part of England to the city. So what I was in, and that's what I lived when I was 18. When I grew up in the countryside in France. So it was more about telling the story of two brothers coming from the countryside, going to the city. So obviously I love their music, and I still believe that there will be a great rock band. But I wanted to share this experience with them to film this.
Oh, right. Okay, perfect. So it's more of like a personal story of the boys.
Yeah, maybe I don't know if you saw on my Instagram, but I went back shooting with the guys this year.
I think I did see that. Was that because of COVID? You were separated?
Yeah, so when the COVID started, it was like 5 years since I started filming the guys, and I thought it was an opportunity just to get back in touch and to chat online during the lockdown. And then we started to speak more, and when they get back on stage at the end of COVID, I went back to film them.
I've got like a good question here. Were there any problems during your production which you would take into account, and if you were to film another documentary, change how you would make it?
You mean on the technical side of stuff, or what do you have in mind? What are you?
Like, let's say you forgot something. You're like, oh, next time I film another documentary, I need to remember because I made a mistake last time. So yes, mainly technical.
Maybe the main thing is post-production was the sound, because I was by myself, and when I started, there was just the first. I shot everything with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera.
Right.
And when I started shooting, it was the first Blackmagic Cinema camera. When I get back to shoot this year, I had the new one, the 4K one. Mm-hmm. And the main difference is that you have, it sounds stupid like said like this, really important. On the new camera, I have two audio slots. So I can record two, I don't know the English word, the tiny mic you hide.
Lavalier, yeah.
Yeah, the lavalier. On the shooting of the film you saw, I only had one. And it was basically every time on Jim, because he's the talking guy more than us. So I chose to put the mic on him. So the sound of Loz was also always a bit crappy. So we had to do a lot of post-production work to make it sound kind of good. So my main advice for documentary filmmakers would be to be really, really, really careful with the sound, because when you don't have sound, you don't have a sequence in documentary. Okay. It's not like music videos or stuff like that, or even fiction work where you can re-record some voices. On documentary, it's really hard. If you don't have the sound, you're fucked. So
yeah.
That would if you shoot documentary, I would definitely say be really, really careful with the sound.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that you struggled with the sound, because I thought the sound was pretty good.
Thanks.
I wouldn't have noticed.
No, it's fine, but it's fine to watch it online and stuff. But if you see it in a cinema theater with the big sound of cinema, you can feel it's a bit lo-fi. So, but okay. It's fine. It's a punk documentary, so I guess it's okay. But sometimes I felt a bit like there's even some sequences that I couldn't be able to edit because it was just too. I would have been obliged to put subtitles so it's understandable and not so you can understand. So I didn't want to do that.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. My next question was like, did you go and meet the boys and like almost premeditate the type of shots you wanted to accomplish, or was it completely spontaneous and you just filmed exactly what you saw, or did you have shots in mind?
At the beginning, I just it was instinct, like for the 3 or 4 Thursdays of shooting, because I just contacted them after seeing them live in a tiny bar in London, just saying like, I love what you do. Can I just come in London for 4 days and film you guys and just see how it goes? And that's when I actually discovered the story, like that they were coming from the countryside. We became friends, and I could see what would be the theme of what I could film with them. So starting from there, every time I went there, I had a theme or something I wanted to go for. So I organized like everything you see, like the grandparents sequences, the sequences with the parents. It's so set up, if you could say, because like I don't interfere at all when I'm starting filming, but as I'm French and as I came in England, I had to say to them like, I want to shoot something with your parents, with your grandparents, because you talk about them in your songs. So we had just to organize this, like go one day in Shipping Norton. So it was more like organizing the setup, and then let life take its place when I'm there and when it's
my school's asked me to like try and do storyboards for some of the scenes, and I can't picture what, because I don't know what I'm going and filming. I thought the documentary was supposed to be just you go there and you film it and it all kind of comes together in the post-production. So I'm a bit stuck there, but
I would say it's a bit of a mix, because in my case, because I'm starting to shoot by myself and getting the sound by myself, I had to the aesthetic of the film. I kind of didn't choose it because it's all handheld. There's never one tripod, and when I came back there, I was asking myself, should I take a tripod or should I do slow-mos, because my camera can. But I chose to stay, to keep on this way, just everything handheld, never slow-mos. So I can have some kind of vibe that will hold through the years I'm shooting. Yeah. So it's really, 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 really simple rules. But in a documentary, you could have more complicated one, like, I don't know, maybe you could choose to, every time you introduce a character, you want to do a close-up on their eyes and a wide shot of where they are living. I don't know, it's just an example. But
all right.
Maybe if you choose to do this at the beginning of a production, you would need to do a tiny storyboard just to put on paper how you want your sequence to start when you present a character. And that way, you can hold the aesthetic. I'm not sure it's the answer you were searching for.
No, it's helping. I kind of gathered from that did you pack all your stuff trying to be as minimal as possible? You wanted to pack the least amount of stuff because you just mentioned you didn't bring tripods and things. Did you basically just bring a camera and a couple of batteries and that was it? You're off?
Yeah, but the idea is that I could have all my material on my back every time. So yeah. But it was, so like I had only one audio slot at the beginning, but I had to find a way to capture the ambient sound also. So I had a sound recorder stuck to the camera, H4n.
I recognize that.
And I had to record the ambient sound apart. So I had to put up my camera, I would say would take 30 minutes to set up. So I had to anticipate when I wanted to shoot so I can put it out of my bag, prepare it and shoot with the guys.
Right, okay. Yeah, great. My next question is a bit more of a technical question. It's very similar to what we've been talking about, was like looking back, did you have a favourite audio setup which was a good balance between being like efficient and portable?
Now my best is with the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 4K. I have 2 slots for the 2 lavaliers mic.
Yeah.
and then I have one mini jack audio slot left, so I can record with a Rode mic, the pretty standard Rode mic stereo. Yeah.
So your favourite setup's probably 2 lavaliers, just to walk around with that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's fair. I said, would you say that most of your documentary was created during the post-production process, like the editing? That's where you constructed the story?
For the first film, for sure, yeah. To be fair, yeah, because as I said, I was organizing all the shootings with the parents, the grandparents.
Yeah.
To be honest, I wasn't sure how and in which way I wanted to tell the story. So yeah, mainly in editing. But now that I have the first film, for the follow-up I'm shooting, I kind of know how and from where to where I want to go. So as I'm shooting, I'm starting to shoot shots where I'm like, I know this kind of shot will be used to go from a sequence to another. So now that I know how I want to edit the film, I can shoot in that sense a bit. If that makes sense.
Yes, no, it does. It does. It says in the credits of your thing that you got someone to like colorize it. Did you give them any instructions of how you wanted it, like the theme you wanted?
I was there.
Really?
In the coloring, yeah, I'm always there for the coloring. It's a stage where most of the time it's the DP who is there, but as I'm the DP of this film,
yeah,
I was there. And my main direction, we chose to put the cinemascope bars in the coloring, and it was kind of the idea was kind of a statement to say I'm shooting unknown musicians. I'm shooting a really tiny rock band, but I want to shoot them and present them as they were like rock stars.
Right, yeah, that's good.
For me, they are. Like, I love their music. I think they should be more famous. So I wanted in the film that with the choice of the cinemascope and the way we would show them, it would translate.
So did you keep the colours like true to life, or did you try and almost make it more dramatic to fit the scene or something like that?
I shoot music video and I'm all in. I love playing with the aesthetics of image. So for sure, I didn't want to be realistic, even though I hope the film as you can feel like it's raw and real, but I want it to be beautiful. So like the color are pretty vivid, pretty saturated, and that's the kind of look I like. And it's also because of the technical aspect of it, the film is really grainy. Because I was shooting a lot of time low light, and at the time the Blackmagic Pocket camera wasn't that sensitive. So we went with a really grainy look, even in the sequence, in the daytime sequences. The footage was not as grainy, but we chose to put grain on it so we can have a really grainy aesthetic during all the film.
Yeah. So
like I was telling you before about the narrative, it's like I think in my experience, like documentary is about instinct and also a lot about preparation and playing with the you say contrainte in French, with the with the limits you have with the material, the time, and you always play around with this, and it became something, but you don't control everything.
You've just answered another one of my questions. Was the grain effect something you planned beforehand? But by the sounds of it, you didn't, right?
Not everything. I mean, you have limits and imperatives, and then your work as a director is to use them the best way you can, so you can translate your views and the way you want to present your subject to the world.
All right, yeah, perfect. I got my next question was, did you get permission to film in the buildings? For example, there's a scene in the shop and like Jim's work. Like, did you get permission? Did you for all of those places?
Yeah, that's also a rule in, like, if you don't have a permissions, you won't be able to use the sequence. So
Right.
that's also a main thing. I was a bit at the beginning. I was a bit sloppy with. You have to make people sign something, telling like, I agree to be in this documentary. Blah 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 blah. It's pretty simple, but when you don't have it, and like maybe I don't know, like in the case of Is It Music, when I was shooting the follow-ups, one guy was touring with us. And we learned like 3 months after that he was sued for sexual harassment.
Right.
And that was a topic with the guys because it's obviously something in the air right now, those kind of stories. And I think it's interesting to tell the stories in the underground rock scene also. So that's a subject I want to talk about in the movie. And I made the guy in question signed the authorization like 3 months before. So I know I can speak of him in the movie. I know I can show the footage of him.
Yeah.
If I didn't do it, I just couldn't do anything with the story.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
that's something really, really, really important when you're shooting. Depending on the country, I know that in the United States, I shot some stuff there. And the production told me, if you don't have a paper, you can ask the people on camera to say, I agree to be in the film, blah, 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 blah. It's not as good as paper. But sometimes if you don't have any solution, it's good to have it so you can prove that the person was fine being filmed. And even though morally you should always ask people when you are filming them, so they can be comfortable and you don't. I think the more you prepare the people and the more you are gentle and polite and nice, the more people will feel comfortable and the more you won't feel the camera on the footage.
All right. So you would recommend, as a student going into film something similar, I should ask everyone. Do you think I should even use like the forms? Do you think I should add them, or do you think just asking them on camera?
Yeah, when the people are speaking, yeah. When you are in a situation where you film the crowd in a concert, it's kind of different because you have to check, because when you are in a big venues, like the venue, you have to pay rights to the venue so you can use the footage sometimes. That's something.
Right.
But I mean, when I shot the audience in tiny bars, I didn't ask everybody in the crowd, can I film you when you are dancing, you know? But every time I'm making someone speak to the camera, I have something signed. And
okay.
Yeah.
What happens if they just come up to the camera and speak on their own accord? Would you ask them after?
When they come to you, you film the sequence, of course, because you don't want to stop the situation or to make it uncomfortable. And but after you film them, you should say to them, like, I'm shooting a documentary for this. Do you mind signing this so we are all good?
All right. Okay. Perfect. I'm on my last question. I think you may have touched on this before because you said you're very run and go. But what were your decisions for the lighting? Did you decide beforehand, like what time of day you wanted to film, and like vice versa? You touched on your camera being like not sensitive to light. Did you purposely try and film in daylight as much as you could?
Not really, but my choice for the light was more how I want to shoot the interviews, and it's always connected to the technical limits I had. So I chose to use vintage lenses. So it's actually lenses that would be used on 16 millimeters camera back then, but that you can mount on a Blackmagic. So, and it's I had one fixed length, the wide one where I shoot like a lot of stuff, and a really close-up one. So I would switch from one to the other, and as the film is handheld, no tripods. One of the other thing, it's also natural lighting. I never use another light for this movie. I started that way, and in the same sense, I told myself I won't use any additional lights for this film. I want to keep it that way, so I can hold the aesthetic. So my eye tell me that I love backlit lights.
Yeah.
So all the interviews in the film, more or less, are shot with a really powerful backlight. So in front of windows.
Yeah. I know.
And even when I shoot Jim and Loz for the acoustic recordings, playing guitars and stuff, I'm always careful about a light behind, so it can draw the silhouette with the lights. So maybe that would be the main direction for me in terms of lighting.
All right. Okay. I've just come up with a little quick question then, because I remember in the documentary there's like old footage of the boys playing. Did you get that directly from them, or did you contact like family members? So when you were in the UK, you asked them directly, you got any old footage of you?
Yeah, and even actually the footage was from their father, because he had a VHS at home. So I made it scan in France to get it. But yeah, it's all archives. There's some stuff that are not online that you can only see in the movie because it's personal archives.
All right, perfect. What was your favorite part of your own documentary? What do you think was your strength in it? The bit you're most proud of?
Maybe it's not that intense, and but I would say the Chipping Norton part with the just going around in their hometown and going to their grandparents. Maybe that was the core of what I wanted to film, and obviously, like every time they are speaking, Jim is speaking about Loz and Loz is speaking about Jim, is what really moved me and what I loved about their relationship. Like the part where Jim is explaining how Loz is clumsy, and I think that's what I love the most. That's why I go back there and film them, because I just love spending time with them and love how they express love to each other, and that would be that.
Yeah. So I'm getting loads of questions coming through now because I've got another one. Was there anything that during the process you were like trying to stray away from because you thought it was too cliche? There's a part where they say, oh, it's quite cliche to have a band documentary. Was there any aspects you were like, I need to make sure I don't do that? Everyone does that.
That's funny because I started the documentary pretty young. Like, I mean, as a film director, I was only 24 when I started filming. So for sure, and like for a French guy shooting a rock documentary in England, you want to dive in the cliches in some ways, because like it's exotic for me. Like in France, you always say that rock and roll is like the land of rock and roll is England. So I understood starting shooting with Jim that Haz is really, really intelligent and cynical, kinda. I could go and dive in the cliche, and it will always tackle it with a surprising angle, so that the cliche won't be a cliche anymore. So I could, sometimes I asked questions that I knew he would find a bit stupid, because I knew how he would find a clever way to escape it, and that's what I was interested in.
All right, perfect. I'm done with questions now. Thank you very much for all the answers.
And are you shooting a documentary, or are you planning to, like this year, or what?
The reason I'm doing this is because for my final project for my course, I am going to meet with my cousin who has a similar sort of band, and I'm going to be doing like a music documentary on them. That's the plan. Yeah, no, I'm doing that next month. So having your help was useful.
And where are they from?
We're all in the UK. So I go up to Sheffield. I don't know if you know where that is, but no, that's where they're based. And they're going to, at the end of the documentary, it climaxes at they have a gig at quite a big venue. So that's how it's going to climax. And I want that anticipation. That's the idea of mine.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Keep me posted. I'm interested.
Yeah, no. Great. Thank you very much. That's all
Thanks
for me.
for
Yeah.
your interest in me.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye.
Ciao.